email expert, Megan Simpson. So Megan, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. It's going to take a few minutes while everyone jumps on, but if you don't mind, can you just give us like a quick introduction for yourself?
Yes, thank you so much for having me back. I loved, just being a part of this networking group in the past, and I'm excited to be here today. So I started my own marketing consulting business in about a year and a half ago. And before that, I have been in marketing for 17 years, really in the fitness industry. So I was in the running specialty industry with brick and mortar, working with small business owners. And then after that, worked at as a VP of marketing for a gym chain. And so really understood how you had to constantly be adding new leads into the system and how to nurture those leads and convert those leads. And so had a lot of experience in email. And what I am very excited about is that email is not dead. People are saying that it's not the way to communicate, and it's one of the most lucrative ways that you can communicate with your customers. So thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So in case anyone hasn't joined one of our Q&As before, there is a little chat box at the bottom of your screen. You can feel free to type in any question that you have, and we're going to go through them live. I have a whole bunch that were submitted ahead of time through Eventbrite, but if you have any question that you'd like to ask, put it in there and we'll do our best to pop it right up to the top. So like you just said that some people think that email is dead and is not the way to go anymore. So it kind of ties into our first question. Emails don't seem to get any response these days. Any ideas for how to best reach people? I have a feeling you're still going to say email.
Email. Yeah. So if you're not getting responses on your emails, you might not be segmenting your emails. So if you try to blast your entire list each time you have a message, you're not talking to anyone specific, and then you're not going to have a good response rate. So you won't see click-throughs, you won't see that user experience or that behavior that you're hoping for, probably purchasing something or going to a landing page to buy something. And so if they don't seem like they're getting the response, then you probably need to make your list smaller and more targeted and really write a message to those people specifically, and you will see a much higher rate. Because if you send an email to 100 people and 30 people open it, you're now at a 30% open rate, as opposed to sending it to 30,000 people and 30% open it. So really talk to people directly as one person, and you'll see a much better engagement.
What do you think are the most important segments when you're looking at segmenting your list? What are kind of the groups that you break people into?
Okay, so you can break people based on their demographics and then also based on their behaviors. And so it matters, which platform you're using. But some of my favorite are they've been to the website in the past 30 days and have not made a purchase, or they have purchased in the past 90 days, but not in the past 30 days. And so it depends on what your product is and how often someone would need it, how many different upsells that you can sell that person, but really thinking through their behaviors. And they've come to look at your products and look at your brand and look at your services, but have not made a purchase yet. And the question is why, and what other information do they need to create that behavior to get them to purchase? That's one of my favorite segments. Another favorite is to think through demographics. And so if you want to write to all of your email subscribers that live in California or in Ohio or in upstate New York, where there was just so much smoke from all of the fires that were going on in Canada. I have a client that sells air filters for HVAC units, and that's a huge opportunity to say your air quality is low in these states, and we have the solution for you. So really targeting a message that is going to hit home and solve a problem for someone.
I'm in Pennsylvania myself. The air quality example made a ton of sense. I would have definitely opened that email for sure.
I'll send you one after this, so you can buy an air filter.
Thanks. It was terrible out there. What are some tips for writing emails to make them appear as if they aren't mass emails without spending too much time on personalization?
First and foremost, write your subject lines like a real person. if you look at all the emails that you create one-to-one, you don't capitalize every word in the subject line. So the job of the subject line is to get someone to open the email, click on the email. So write your subject lines like a real person, use emojis if you would like to, and that's something that you would do, or that's like your brand. And then have something that grabs their attention. We'll talk about it in a little bit, but subject lines are a key piece. And then the next piece is once they open it, what's the hook, or what's that initial thing that's going to get them to keep reading? And so every single piece of your email has a job to do. So subject lines to open, the preview text is to make sure that they're enticed. The big H1 header when they open the email is to get them to keep reading, and then keep your rest of your email brief. Don't use a bunch of, if you can use photos that are specific to your company and aren't from Unsplash or, just generic, that's great. People love to see smiling faces or even embedded videos. And then just make it very clear and stick to one call to action in your email.
That is great advice. Thank you. How frequently should you send an email to the same contact when you're pursuing new business?
If someone has opted in to your email flow or your email list, and it's a specific list, the saying is you email them until they buy, unsubscribe, or die. And that's a little aggressive, but if someone is interested, they're interested right now. So if you think about their curve of motivation, when they subscribe to your email list, let's talk gyms, for example. They subscribed to you to get a free trial for the gym. They were really motivated at that moment to join the gym for some reason. They saw themselves in a photo. They saw themselves in a mirror. There was something that happened. Someone did something, or they felt a certain way about themselves at that moment, and they were ready to have fitness be a part of their lives at that moment. The further and further you get away from that moment, the less likely they are to take action until they hit that moment again, motivation curve. So you want to email people every single day for 14 days and to see if they will hit on your email or that offer because they were motivated and you're the closest to that motivation point. Then at that point, you really are just trying to figure out if that wasn't the answer or what other questions do they have. So you need to provide enough information for them. So I would keep emailing them every day or every 2 days, and then they're going to unsubscribe or they're going to start clicking on your emails, and then you can resegment them. So have some sort of tag that would move them out of that flow so that you're not emailing them the same message over and over again. I would use your email as long as it's segmented as often as possible just to stay top of mind with people.
That's awesome. What is the best email practice for finding new leads?
Okay, so you already have their email address. So we're not going to consider a lead being an email address at this point. I have seen these loops before where, you send someone, you already have their email, you email them, you ask them then to fill out a form for their email because they're interested in something. And then they're in this like weird email loop where you just keep asking for their email. Instead, give them what you want them to buy. And so what I hear you saying is, okay, let's talk about it if you were an HVAC company. You already have their email address and you want them to subscribe to your HVAC subscription plan where, they pay $49 a month, and then 3 times a year someone comes out and checks all the HVAC and takes care of the maintenance of their filtration system. So the call to action then is the subscription. And so if you're then considering the lead, someone that clicks on the link to learn more about the subscription program, you then would need to tag them to then add them to a new list that they're interested in the subscription program. If you want to sell them a water heater, then when they click on something related to water heaters or open an email with a subject line about water heaters, you then tag them and they're part of the water heater interest list, or they're part of the, basically you just need to keep giving people carrots to find out what they're most interested in and then keep track of it that way.
Yeah, and that goes back to your segmentation too, about, what they're interested in versus just anything else. So we had one come in. How does spam filters affect email open rates? Does false opens, I think from the spam filter, make open rate a stat to ignore?
I would not ignore open rates. I would look at them as you're always dealing with the same baseline, right? So if there are fictitious open rates in there, an open rate of 30% and an open rate of 8% is still going to give you the same answer of this email did well or this email didn't do well. And so it's okay if there's extra data in there that's kind of skewing things. I would not bonus someone off of open rates or make that a financial tie to a marketing manager's job. Because then they could just send emails to less people that are very targeted and get very high open rates. The more targeted you are, also asking people to respond or fill out a survey or click on something. You need people to engage with your emails to get yourself out of being placed in the spam bucket. So how can you engage with your audience in a way that they're going to click on your emails and then you're safer from being placed in junk?
Awesome. So just in case, so that we've had some people join us, if you haven't done one of our live Q&As before, there's a little chat box. It looks just like a chat box at the bottom. Feel free to click on it and type any questions. We will prioritize the ones coming in live, so feel free to add them. So Megan, you were just talking about how getting someone to fill out a survey or click on something is a great way to stay out of the spam box. What other tips do you have for getting out of that spam box?
Well, that's the key. You definitely want to scrub your lists. So you want to scrub out hard bounces. You want to scrub out definitely anyone that's marked you as spam. Or there are some options in different email platforms where you can not send to suppressed people. So you could create your own suppressed segmentation by saying they haven't clicked or opened any emails in the past 30 days, or they haven't opened or clicked any of the emails in the past 10 sends. And then you'll really safeguard yourself from sending to people that are just not engaged with you.
And then do you send to those people sometimes, just less frequently, to keep them in the list, or are they gone?
I would send to them specifically when you have something to offer. So if you have an ebook or a event that you're doing or something where they can engage with you and it's new, then I would send to them. Really think of them as your they're not even warm. They're kind of they're not in the freezer, but they're definitely in the fridge. You gotta treat them as new people. And yes, they might have opted in when they were at that motivation point, and they are no longer there. They are a new person and they're not interested. And so what's going to make them interested? For example, you haven't heard from anyone and your sell filters, and then these fires happen, and now you have a reason to talk to people again. And so really be thoughtful of what is going on in the news or around you or seasonally of why it would make sense to reach out to those cold leads.
Awesome. And I know we talked about, bouncing as, people to possibly suppress. How do holidays affect bounce rates? Are there days that you shouldn't be sending or days that you should be ignoring when things bounce?
Yes. So if there is a holiday, celebrate the holiday before the holiday happens. So for example, in August, at the end of August, all of the stores are going to start putting out all of their Halloween stuff. And moms are going to start buying all of the Halloween costumes. And in September, they're going to buy Halloween candy. And so we celebrate Halloween in our brains and in our to-do list starting at the end of August. And so you too, as a business, should start celebrating Halloween at the end of August and not on October 31st. And so that's, for example, if you want to say send a thank you email to all of your top customers, don't send it on Thanksgiving. Don't send it on the days that most people would take off of work for Thanksgiving. Send it prior to them leaving for the holiday. And that's when they're going to receive it, especially if you're B2B. If you're B2C and they're, around on their personal emails, then it's okay. but not if they've signed up with their work email and they have an out of office up, you're going to bounce. Oh, sorry. And if you bounce, hard bounces are a problem. But if you make like a segmentation for anyone that's been bouncing and you decide not to email people that have been bouncing, then you're really scrubbing out some of your best customers just because you happen to send an email on a day that they're not there to receive it.
Great advice. Is there a best time of day or time of week to send emails?
It varies for every single company. I have worked for companies where it's, the target audience are moms and they put their kids to bed at 8 o'clock and they sit down and they finally get in front of their email at 10 o'clock. And so we were sending emails at 9:30 p.m. There's other companies like this hammock company, and they open all of their emails seasonally, right? So really getting ready to go camping and figure out what time of day. Really, it was men that were buying single-use camping sleeping hammocks. And so what time of day are men opening those emails? And it was, a 6 a.m. send or 7 a.m. send was the best because that's when they wanted to read it before they got started for their workday. If it's someone for a gym, they're highly motivated on Sunday night. They had the weekend. The biggest opt-in for free trials is Sunday or Monday when people are most motivated, or they look it up on Sunday and then go to the gym on Monday. So it's really based on what you're selling people and what their motivation curve would be.
So are you suggesting maybe just like if you're new to it, kind of test it all and just pay close attention to what seems to perform better?
Yes, and just use use what you think would be right. And like if you sell something to help you sleep, then you could send it in the middle of the night for the people that aren't sleeping, right? Like let's say it's all about insomnia, and send it at 3 a.m. when you're like, I know you're awake and I want to help out, and here's something to entertain you and a little bit of how we can help you. And
nothing else is coming in at that time,
Yeah, nothing's coming in at 3 a.m. And so if it's, yes, the tools are great. Like Klaviyo, it has a smart send feature. You need to have 10,000 contacts to be able to use the smart send feature. But it will send out emails all throughout a 24-hour period and then tell you the best open rate times and best windows to send emails based on open rates of that send. And so that's a really cool feature within Klaviyo. Yeah, I mean, at first, as you're growing, you won't know. If you happen to walk into a business and you have 100,000 contacts, use those smart send features and it will tell you the best time to send.
So I know you just mentioned one, but can you talk a little bit about different email softwares, kind of what's the best or what you would use in which situation? I know you talked about Klaviyo, but Constant Contact, MailerLite, MailChimp, anything like that?
Yes. So it all depends on how your systems are set up. And so I've definitely worked in businesses where everything had different cogs in the wheel, and you were trying to band-aid together, Excel spreadsheets with Constant Contact, export CSV files out of your point of sale system and import them into Constant Contact and email that way, to working in HubSpot where the website was built on HubSpot. There's the marketing hub and the sales seats and the sales hub, and it all works together beautifully. And so if your company's big enough and you can integrate like that, those tools are amazing because when someone clicks on something, they're automatically added to a list. And now you can say, okay, all of these people are interested in personal training. All of these people are interested in this specific location. All of these people clicked on Kids Club. And so I know they have kids and they're interested in kids topics. And so that's wonderful if you have that whole omni-channel presence. But specific tools work with specific email platforms. So like Klaviyo works perfectly with Shopify. And they're just really well connected. And you can even just do a Google search just to see what are the best tools to use. So if you're, if you use Salesforce, then you probably need to use Pardot or, whatever the comparable marketing hub is. Constant Contact, MailChimp, these are all great if you're just starting out and you want to experiment with email, or you have a smaller list and you don't want to pay as much.
What would you define as a smaller list? I think it means a lot of different things to different people.
Anything under 10,000 contacts, I would consider a smaller list. Then you need to be really specific on your messaging and thoughtful. Awesome. You should anyway, but with 10,000 or less contacts, you really need to hone in.
Awesome. So we had one come in live on the chat. If you want to click on the chat, you can read it along too, but I'll read it out loud for you. Nicole said, I'm working with someone who is writing a newsletter for the startup community in Austin. The organizer has a great open rate, but she often has too much content. It's too wordy. She wanted people to click a survey, but her links are often getting lost. We advised her that the survey should go out separately. She likely also needs to hire a marketing writer who can be more concise and add images. Can you give some other best practices about a weekly newsletter? How much is too much info? What is a good balance of images and buttons? And then I have another one that came in, and what's the best way to maintain that newsletter?
We're using ActiveCampaign, but are going to be above 5,000. Okay. Yes, you are 100% correct that they should stick to one call to action. And so if they want to survey first of all, I would send a survey out in pieces. So if you can segment the list, right? And so if what was her business?
The startup community in Austin. It's a newsletter for the startup community.
Okay. So for a startup community, I would figure out if there's any way to identify who's been engaged with the community or have attended events or, can somehow be deemed as a power user or VIP, or we know that they're going to open this email, engage with it, siphon them off and send it to them first from a survey standpoint. Then you can send it to everyone else. And so you really want to learn from the people that are engaged with the community. Their point of view is most valuable. So make the email all about a survey. Your advice is needed. We need you to fill out this survey. We can't wait to better our community with your advice. Make it all about that person and about the survey. As far as newsletters, it's really like I've had newsletters where we made Spotify playlists and entertain people and have, actually this same platform that we're using for this Q&A today, sending replays of different events and showcasing just a snapshot of what we've got going on. And the best subject lines that I've seen is a recap of last month and a what's coming up this month. And so people, it's like, or all about this business in one place. And then you can block out an image and text with a link, image and text with a link, image and text with a link, and stick to 5. I mean, people don't want to read more than that. You probably don't have more than 5 initiatives going on. I hope. I mean, we're all crazy and we take on too much, but you could, just stick to what you want people to know about. If it's not that important to your business, is it that important to that person? And so if you're really trying to focus on 3 things, only put those 3 things in it. I used to see this all the time in the running industry, that these newsletters would go on for scroll and scroll and scroll and scroll. And it's like, you want me to sign up for a running program and you want to tell me about these new 3 products. Great. Get to the point, right? Think about it as a newsletter is a bulleted list of an image and copy and an image and copy and an image and copy, and just stick to that. And then you can always follow up in targeted emails based on who clicks on what link.
And how frequently do you send the newsletters?
Oh, I would do monthly. No more than monthly. Newsletters are a beast to put together. So I feel for you if you're putting those newsletters together.
Thank you. So once again, we had a couple more people join. If you have any questions, you can click the chat box at the bottom and type them right in there, and we'll definitely get to them. Nicole, thank you so much for your question. I hope that if you have any follow-ups, feel free to drop it in there. So we had one come in. How do I effectively use AI for email? So do you use AI yet for your emails? Do you write copy with them?
Well, I just got really excited because I know Nicole from Villanova. Hi. Okay, AI. So I use ChatGPT. My biggest thing is if you ever use ChatGPT, don't let your formatting look like you use ChatGPT, because everyone knows what it looks like, right? It's got colons. It's going to have a word or quotes around things, like delete all that out and try to make it look like you wrote it. Please, that's a personal preference. But then for emails, you can get ideas, and you could say from a prompt standpoint, this is the, write this email as with an audience of stay-at-home moms with a tone of fun and carefree, written by this business that sells dog toys for pets, right? So like say exactly how you want it to be written and then see what it comes up with, and then edit it if it doesn't sound like the voice of the brand. And then you can also say from a prompt standpoint of rewrite or write again and add this. And so you can kind of get it to tweak better to your voice. But then again, you'd probably write just as good of an email with 5 sentences that you wrote and just use their ideas.
So just because it's there, you don't have to use it.
No, you don't have to.
Awesome. How do you toe the line between having a relevant social media presence while also maintaining a professional voice?
Ask that one more time. Social media. We're on to social media.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, or even we can even just say more of a fun So how do you toe the line between having a relevant social media presence while also maintaining a professional voice? So we can also kind of say, like, not necessarily social media, but if you're like a fun brand, how do you be funny and professional? What's the line?
The line is don't have typos. So download Grammarly immediately. Once you have typos, it really takes away your credibility. So make sure if you're going to be funny on purpose, and then be thoughtful and just have a call to action. So make it easy. The user experience needs to be one click, and they need to know where they're going. So if you say call for to set up an appointment, make sure that link is going to the Calendly so that someone can go and sign up for a call. Or it needs to go to a phone number if you're a service provider, and actually be able to dial. Or if you're sending them to a landing page to learn more about information, make it very clear, learn more about home renovation, and click here, and then it goes to a page all about home renovation. So you can be fun as long as the flow is professional. At the moment that your flow breaks down, then people just question your ability to do business.
Makes total sense. So we have one here, tips for effective subject lines. And I'm going to go ahead and pop in that guide that you gave me, but I'll let you answer it. Tips for effective subject lines to gain response. Okay.
So first, tips for effective subject lines. I actually made you guys an ebook. So just for you, that you can download. It's 31 subject lines. And then also the H1 header of what you could do to get people to keep reading. So you said to get response. The subject line's job is not to get a response. The subject line's job is to get you to open the email. Your call to action is where you're going to get the response. And so your subject line, open the email, then you need to be very clear what the call to action is within that email to then get them to respond.
Awesome. Thank you. So we only have time for like one more. We're running out of time. Tips and techniques for setting up your first email campaign.
Okay. So first is what are they going to get to sign up for your email? So is it a free ebook? Are they going to do a survey? What are they getting to give you their email? So they need to pay, they're paying you with their email for something. So first you have to build your list by giving them something. Next, the welcome series, or let's say they buy a product from you and you don't have an email grab. You should have an email grab somewhere. Give them something for free and get their email so you can nurture them. If they buy something from you and you're going to email them, the welcome flow is going to be like, thank you so much for purchasing this product. We're so excited to have you as part of our community. Would you like to receive more emails from us? You need them to opt in. If they've already opted in, now your welcome series and flow needs to be specific to what they think you're going to provide for them. And so think about their motivation point, email them every day, and give them more information about their pain point and solve the pain point for them. And so I would map out 3 emails to start and really focusing on different offers or different aspects of your business where you can help answer their pain points.
I love that you called that they're paying with their email, because it is like they're giving you something in exchange for what you're offering. And you have to, I never really thought of it as currency before, but I think what you said makes so much sense.
Yes, and they're valuable. I mean, every email, if you think of every email as a lead, there's a whole analysis of what is a business willing to pay per lead, and what is a business willing to pay per acquisition. And I mean, there's some industries where they're willing to pay $20 a lead. You think about all the ads that people run, they're willing to pay $20 of ad spend to get one email address, or they're willing to spend $250 to get one email address. It all depends on what their services they're selling. If it's a big software company and they're going to sell software for $27,000, they're probably going to spend up to $2,000 for your email address. It is a very, very valuable tool for businesses.
That's crazy. Wonderful. I'm trying to check real quick. If there's any last ones, feel free to drop it in the chat. We'll do one last one. Do you have any tips to up click-through rate?
Write what you are asking people to click on in the description of the text. So buttons aren't necessary. If you're going to have a some button, have it both in the text above the button and the button form. So you don't need to write click here, but you can say, get more information, or get 31 clickable subject lines. And that would be my call to action for you to click on to get 31 clickable subject lines. And also in the body of the text, say, I have the tool for you. It's 31 clickable subject lines, and then highlight that text and include the link. Include the same links multiple places in your email. There is a rule where people are used to, if you have a logo at the top of your email, they want it to go to your website. Give them a way to get to your website. It's kind of just what people do. So put your website in the top of the email, and then make it very clear that this is the main focus, and put it multiple places. So if they don't click on it up here in the image, then they click on it in the text. If they don't click it on the text, then they click on it in the button. And then, you're honing them in on where to go. And also, like, don't have a big call to action to follow you on social media if you're really asking them to fill out a survey, because it's too confusing. So don't just stick to the same footer just because it's always been done that way. Just make it very clear where you want to steer people.
People are really only going to do one thing. They're not going to go back to the email to find the second thing that you asked them to do. They're going to do one.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, unfortunately, that's all the time that we have today. So Megan, thank you so much for joining us. This was just such great information. And I think whether you were kind of a beginner and doing your first email campaign, or someone with a lot of experience, I feel like we touched on kind of a lot for everybody.
Thank you for having me. And I'm so excited. So is there a link in the chat?
Yeah.
Awesome. So if you click on the link, I literally made this the other day, made you a whole, made the downloadable and created a page. And I just if you want to follow me, I'll send you emails where you can, get more information and tips and tricks about email and digital marketing. I would love to connect with you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So we have a lot of other great events coming up. If you want to look at the upcoming events tab, either within the general community or any of the subgroups that you might be in, we have more Q&As coming up and lots of other great stuff too. So thank you so much, and I hope to see everyone back soon.
Thank you.
Thanks.